Excerpt from Chapter 1. I glance up for a moment at the happy blue sky and soft white clouds so far out of reach. A red-tailed hawk's call pierces the slow breeze. The hot sun shines through the thin feathers just enough to reveal the beautiful brown and white patterns. Its signature red tail tilts as the hawk dips to the right, disappearing behind the trees. Did the native peoples wage any wars in these rocky valleys? I'd love to explore every nook and cranny, except I hate the outdoors. I should find a mountain exploring video game. That way I could explore without all the discomfort. Isn't this place beautiful, Jake? Yep. Do you know why I like to come here for these entering manhood trips? My dad takes another drink, then screws the cap back on. Because it's tradition? Well, yes, but I initially chose to bring Tyler here because of these mountains. The Grand Tetons can be seen 100 miles away. My dad turns to me. They stand out, and that's what I want from you. Your brothers have worked hard to get where they are. They've taken risks and stood up for what is right. And now, people look to them. They set the example. I want you to be a man that stands out just like them. I drop my gaze to the ground. He's wrong. I'm not one of the towering peaks. I'm one of the small hills at the base of the Grand Tetons that are forever trapped in their shadows. A shiny green beetle crawls onto my hiking boot. I let the complex little creature sit on my shoe and enjoy the sun. Now that you're starting your project, you're one step away from achieving the rank of Eagle Scout. He smiles at me. Your decision to persevere has proved you're now a man. I bite my tongue. If this path of success is so good, why do I feel weaker every time I take a step down it? The beetle lifts its outer shell and flutters its wings. He can fly? What else hides under that shell of his? Think of all the college scholarships you can win with that on your resume, my dad says, and he slides his water bottle back into its pocket. College. I'm never done. My accomplishments are never enough. And what will come after college? I'm very proud of you for sticking it out, Jake. He smiles. His dark brown eyes glisten with delight as he stares at me. Or rather, the version of me he wants me to be. Now, we can't waste any time if we want to reach our camp location before sunset. He gives me a firm pat on the back and continues down the trail. But I don't follow. My heart sinks. The green beetle races off my shoe like an obedient dog trying to keep up with my dad's quick pace. Don't try to walk his path. You'll only fail, I want to yell after it. Just as I did. Football, calculus, Boy Scouts, and now college. But with each step, all I ever found was one more rung on the endless ladder with the baiting promise of my dad's approval at the top. I need to stop climbing. I've known this for months. But what would my dad think? Should I ruin this happy moment for him? I take another drink. It doesn't wash away the growing nausea. I sigh. It's time. Dad? I cringe in anticipation. I'm not going to do my Eagle Scout project. What? He comes to an abrupt stop and turns to back me. You're joking, right? His frown weighs on me like the football helmet and shoulder pads I wore to live up to his expectations. My back dampens with sweat. I open my mouth, but I can't form any words. Why? He takes a step forward. Gravel grinds under his hiking boot. Why quit when you're this close? The beetle still races down the path. Its unique shell glimmers in the sunlight. I clench my fists and hold my ground. I've rehearsed my response to his question 100 times. This is my senior year. I take a deep breath and collect myself. I need to commit extra time with the officers in my birder club to make sure it will continue after I graduate. Jake, that's on them. It's not your responsibility if they let it die. I watch the beetle scale a small rock. I try to keep my trembling under control. It is my responsibility. I'm the founder, and they look up to me. Many of the birders say this club is the only place where they can be themselves. The jocks tease them everywhere else. If this club falls apart, Benny and the others won't have a place at school to belong in. Why can't you do both? You'll be done with Boy Scouts before the end of the year. I fidget with a strap from my backpack and focus on the beetle. To not become an Eagle Scout feels like a badge of honor, as it would prove I'm different than my dad and brothers. But how could he ever understand this? My mom could have helped him see things my way a few years ago. Now she's too busy. I let out a deep breath. Because I don't want to. Don't want to? He scoffs. What kind of excuse is that? What if I stopped working just because I didn't want to? I don't want to walk this path you've scripted for me. I want to scream. But there's no point. I've tried explaining my frustration 1,000 times. My dad strides toward me, but the beetle doesn't stop or run away. It's so close to finally catching up to my dad. If I did only what I wanted to, where would you live? What food would you eat? Where would you get the money to buy your precious video games? The shadow of my dad falls over the beetle. Crunch. My dad walks on, eyes locked on me. He continues his tirade, but his words are distant. Behind him, the fractured beetle lies motionless. Something so intricate, complex, and unique. So many hidden gifts it didn't get to show the world. Gone. Killed underfoot by a giant who never took the time to notice. My eyes sting. My jaw trembles. I focus on the trees as the ache in my chest grows. If only I could be enough. Why did I have to like odd things like track and bird watching? Why did God have to set me up for failure by throwing me into this scrawny body? My dad's rant ends. He stops 2 paces from me and lets out a huff. He's silent for several seconds. His shoulders relax. Jake. I catch him shaking his head from the corner of my eye. I'm sorry. His voice softer. It was wrong of me to yell at you. I just don't want you to give up on something you've worked so hard for. But I don't want to be an Eagle Scout. My dad gives me a curious look. I don't understand. You've worked toward this for years. No, Dad, you've worked toward this for years. My dad throws up his hands. What are you talking about? I shake my head and push past him on the trail. I'm sorry I ruined your life, I whisper. I don't need his help to feel like a failure. And what's the point? I'll never be as good as them. God can't use a skinny guy like me. Excerpt from Chapter 4. Now that I can see them without being in danger, it's clear from their more rounded heads and beaks that these aren't actually pterodactyls. Oh well, it's still fun to call them pterodactyls. In seconds, a very unfriendly pterodactyl potluck is well underway, with horrifying screeches and a loud roar. That could have been me. I was an inch away from death, but I won. Pterodactyls, monkey lions, strange rabbit things, portals. Where am I? A soft kee sounds from behind. The rabbit thing still crouches in the tree. The leaves shake from its trembling. As I approach, it tenses. Don't worry, little guy, I won't hurt you. I take a slow and careful step toward it. It tries to jump and glide away, but one of its back paws slip. It falls awkwardly. I leap forward and catch it. It doesn't jump out of my hands, but looks up at me with trusting, wide eyes. It has the face of a rabbit, but small sheep-like horns curl on the sides of its head right beside its cat-like ears. It's okay, little thing. It twitches a bit as I touch its soft forehead, but its trembling slowly subsides. Something warm trickles down my arm. A purple and bluish substance oozes out of its back thigh. Blood. I pull my hand back. The critter looks up at me with pleading eyes like my old dog Pax did as she died in my arms. My throat tightens. Tears tease the corner of my eyes. It was my fault. She trusted me and I failed her. The critter's call snaps me back to the moment. I clench my eyes shut and shake my head. I couldn't save Pax, but I can save this little guy. Don't worry, buddy. I can help you.